Chazal, when they tell us when the Geula is most opportune time for the Geula to happen, for Mashiach to come, is the year after Shemitah, on the 8th year. This year, it's B'matzah Shemitah, and it's the 8th year. And also, if you take a look at Masechta Sanhedrin, the Gemara says what is going to happen in the 7 years leading up to Mashiach. It's a very frightening prediction, but all that we've gone through over the last 7 years. It talks about an enormous plague where righteous people will pass away. We saw that in COVID. It talks about financial upheavals across the entire world. It talks about war. Every single thing we're watching, that big war, the Ukraine and Russia, things that we didn't expect, things that are suddenly happening in the world that are completely everything in such a way that it has shooken up and it shakes us up to the core. We can all sense within us that the Geula is about to happen, and it has to happen now. One of the interesting things is, the Shlach HaKadosh says, and it's brought in other Svarim, that Adam, which means man, represents the sum totality of all of history. It's all hinted in the word of human history, hinted to in the word Adam, David, Mashiach. So the phenomenal teaching that works as follows. From Adam to David is the same amount of years that's from David to Mashiach. Adam, we count the day he was born, because that's the day that he reached his greatest of heights. David HaMelech, we count the day that he became king and over all the Jewish people. He was 37 years old. He was made king over in Yerushalayim. Malchus Beis David then was established, and finally it's going to be concluded with Mashiach. So it makes sense to say that the time from Adam to David is the exact same time from David to Mashiach. David HaMelech became king in the year 2891 from creation. If you double that, you get 5782, which was last year. We were excited about that last year. But then, as further investigation, David HaMelech didn't become king at the first day in the year 2891, somewhere in the middle of the year. So you have to count 2891.5 plus 2891.5 brings you to 5783. We're also watching the government in Eretz Yisrael, the entire situation in Israel being so unstable. Everything is falling apart, which is also an indication that there's, like we say in davening, Al Kisei L'Yeshiv Zar, a foreigner, anybody that's not Mashiach, anything that's not the Malchus of Mashiach, cannot sit on the throne, cannot be the ones running the country. Eretz Yisrael, the time has come for the real Malchus to arrive, and that's why we're watching all this instability, Dafka reaching in. The last couple of years, there's been no stable government, but this is chaotic what's taking place. This is all an indication, together with everything else that we've seen. We are so there, but what can we do? What can Jewish women do? Women play. We know that the Geula is coming dafka b'schus nashim tzidkaniyos, like it was in Mitzrayim. It's going to be in the end. The Lubavitcher Rebbe would always constantly quote what it says in the Arizal, that our generation is the same generation of then, and then it was the women that did it, and it's the same women that are reincarnated and are alive now. The Shlach HaKadosh has an amazing teaching in Sefer Shnei Luchei Sabris, in Parshas Bishalach, where he points out an interesting thing. There's a medrash that says that la'asid lava asidin la'asid lava. It says a double lashon. In the future, la'asid lava, the Jewish people will say shira. So he is bothered by the redundancy. Why does it say asidin and la'asid lava, which both mean the future? Should have just said asidin sheyomru or la'asid lava v'yomru shira. They will say shira. So he explains, no. It's no big deal to say shira after the miracle happened. When we went out by Yetzias Mitzrayim, God split the sea. We sang shira after the shira happened, after the splitting of the sea happened. That's not a big deal. The main shira, he says, has to happen when you just have the promise, when you're just given the Besuras HaGeula, and just with that Besuras HaGeula, you're already singing the song. And that's the milah that's going to be when Mashiach comes, that we're going to sing even before the miracle happened. He says, you know who had that quality already in the past? The women. Even in Mitzrayim, he says, he says, the women had it more than the men. We went out of Mitzrayim. Because they believed in Hashem. They took drums, they took their tambourines and dancing. In their amunah and believing what Hashem was going to do for them. And the women were the mighty ones. They were the strong ones. The men were weak, he says. The women were strong. And that's why the lashon by the women is masculine. Vatan lohem Miriam. It doesn't say vatan lohem. Lohen, which would have been feminine terms, it says lohem, because women then were strong. The men were weak. And the men, it says in the feminine term, it says Hashira Hazois, because they represented a weaker side. The women are the strong ones. B'chlal Mashiach is a time of feminine energy. The women have to lead us. This Chodesh Nisan, women have to go out and dance. Have to go out with tremendous strength. We have already the Besura Sagiyula. That's what the Shlah says. When we have the Besura, we have the promise. We know Mashiach is coming for certain. How do we know? All tzaddikim told us. But the Lubavitcher Rebbe, particularly in 1990, 1991, told us unequivocally the time of redemption has arrived. Yidden, get ready, prepare for Geula. Since then, you've seen the world is quaking and shaking, and only madness, literally since that time. They're waiting from heaven for something. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose entire existence from the time he was born was only devoted to bring Mashiach to the world, he definitely had this inside information. And if he told us that the time of redemption is here, we can rest assured that it is here right now. Now we're already seeing it in our outer reality. We can almost feel it, we can touch it, and let all of us together, but just my support and applaud, if I can, whatever I can say, for the women that have the courage and the strength. It's before Pesach, you're busy, you have so much on your heads, but yet it's never too busy to take your tambourine and go out with, from the depth of your heart, and sing to Hashem. Say, I know the miracles are going to happen any moment. I'm chapping arayin, I'm grabbing it before, I'm singing Shira already to you. Literally, like we've heard the Shofar Shel Mashiach, like we've already seen millions of people dancing on the Har HaBayis. Close your eyes, dance that dance already now, and we will, without a question, experience the complete redemption, and may it be now, this year.